Okay. So let's look at a few examples. You've done a good job of just coming up with some ideas with this. And so here's a few other examples. Um, you might be able to spend some time, especially if they've traveled a lot, putting pieces of paper down for each country and place that they've been, and then putting the column in between of losses and gains, and helping them to identify both the good and the not so great things about every maybe location that they've been. It helps them um, be able to look at and be okay with the fact that every place has its good side and its not so good side, and hopefully they'll be able to move away from this black and white thinking, or they'll start to feel more permission to see both sides, the good and bad of their present situation, but also their past. Another way is if they're having trouble exploring and understanding those hidden losses because they may not be aware. You can use the senses and give them maybe sentence starters or help them think through when I woke up in such and such country, what did I hear? What did I see? What flavors, what tastes, what things were going on? What have I left behind? Even things like pets and caregivers and different things like that, friendships. Helping them to kind of process through their senses and be able to list and understand and become aware of those losses that maybe haven't really come to the surface yet. Doing an exercise of thinking about life before and life after. So what was life like before and what's it like now? And also looking at both the good and bad of those things. And we tend to sort of glorify the past, thinking of only the things that we miss, but there were some things that maybe weren't so great. And same here, maybe helping them see, yes, there are downsides, absolutely, and it is hard, but and life is different. But what are some of the gains that can be through that, and just helping them work out that story in a safe place where it's okay to talk about how life is different. Again, going back to the all or nothing thinking, there is a confusion of emotions. I find that when I work through with TCKs to show them the griefs, the cultural adjustments and the grief cycles and all of this stuff, that there's like a kind of aha moment of, oh, I'm okay. This is normal for me to feel this way. There is a reason. And it can be very liberating to just give them permission to feel a whole range of confusion about what they're going through, and just providing a safe place for that. I like to also have them, actually bring in photographs or show me pictures. This client, Sophia, it's not her real name, but she would show me pictures of her friends and different things that she did, and somehow in just having the permission to talk about her old life, just gave her a sense of being able to process some of that pain of loss. And perhaps you could use artwork, you could use stories. Another thing is letter writing. Writing to those friends, writing to parents, writing to process wherever that grief might be hiding, so they can express some of those emotions. I like to use imagery. I put a picture here and I give them permission, on one hand to grieve the loss of what they've left, and to remember the good things and be able to be free to talk about that and even be sad about that. Also laugh about that and remember in positive light, but also at the same time to be planting seeds. So not expecting them to suddenly just jump in and make friends and be absolutely fine, but planting seeds, to be putting a few seeds in here, and eventually, just like these seeds in this picture, that it grows some roots and you begin to see it. You don't see it right away, but you begin to see it after time. You just must keep planting seeds in your current place, even while you're grieving the old place. Imagery like that can help. Rituals and new tradition making. This is a huge one for some people who have lived in one place for a long time. They feel like they've uprooted, there's nothing the same. Having things around the house that are more maybe a picture on the wall, or their certain bed cover, or something that reminds them of home. These become really important things. Rituals, when you move to a different climate and it's no longer snowy at Christmas time, being able to, with the family, discuss how can we make a new tradition instead of trying to to remake the old, and it doesn't quite meet it. How can we make a new tradition that serves the purpose here, or keep some of the old traditions and cultural traditions, not throwing everything out with the new culture, but actually making those very symbolic and meaningful even while you're abroad. That becomes very, very important in the identity of a TCK. And the last thing that we might work through especially is just allowing the families to understand how to do that. And the biggest thing I tell parents is just allow them to grieve. Parents feel guilty. They want them to just snap out of it and be the old kid that they used to be. They may be going through their own grief or delaying their grief. But just giving the whole family permission to say it's going to take some time, and let them sit with you and talk through what they miss. Don't try to fix it too quickly. Allow them to process that grief. And finally, just the last thing to think about is just how would you diagnose? And oftentimes I think without looking at, this is kind of the heart of the matter, without looking at some of these specific TCK issues, we might just say, okay, Sophia's showing depression, and we might overlook some of the things that are going on. But just turn in your groups again and just say, is it that simple? What do you have to consider, and what might other diagnoses be? And get some ideas and feedback. So if the onset is within, say, 3 months of the move, and it lasts for maybe 6 months, it's probably going to be diagnosed as adjustment disorder, perhaps with anxiety or depressive symptoms. However, there are a lot of other factors, so that maybe aren't true in Sophia's case, but might be there for others, as we talked about at the beginning, the different factors that might actually lead to stronger diagnosis, say, of clinical depression, or actually with adults, you tend to see that more as well. So it is good to consider what these diagnoses would be, but in light of these unique aspects of transition and third culture kids. So that's our class for today.